like he found a place where he was loved, and he found a place where he was fed. And
Moving again.
you know, in that he found
Yeah, I
God.
restarted it.
Right? Like he accepted Jesus Christ. He was baptized. He encouraged the men around him. And he was an amazing man, right? And like Steve, always called me sir. And I was like, Doug, I'm just an addict like you, so drop the sir and let's just have a conversation, right? But he was an amazing man. And like John, I don't agree that Doug should have been taken from us, but because I believe in Jesus Christ, because I believe in God, I also believe that there's an enemy. And I believe that when we have men that come into our orbit that are affecting change and positivity in men, the enemy wants to squish them out. And like I said, Doug was an amazing man. He was infectious, he was contagious, he was awesome, super positive. So in that, we need to remember that we need to be alert. We need to be on guard. We need to be my brother's keeper. We need to watch each other. We need to keep our eye on each other. We need to keep each other safe.
What's wrong with it?
Yeah, it's a great loss.
Not working?
I know for a fact that Doug is in heaven because there's a verse in the Bible, it's from the Beatitudes, and it says, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God." And if that doesn't explain Doug, I don't know what does. So with that, praise Jesus, and I'll pass the mic back to David. Thanks, Mark.
Did you say Browns? Yeah. Oh, poor guy. I didn't know that about him. All right. Yeah. All right, I'm learning.
It was truly an honor to get to know Doug. My last few weeks at Hilland, I was fortunate enough to have him as my roommate, and he was just a very positive energy. He was always thankful of everything, and he was giving and caring, and he genuinely cared about each and every one of us at the house. He always knew when something was off or if someone was having a bad day, and he'd make an effort to go and make sure they're doing all right and end up cheering them up in the process, telling a joke or just encouraging them, giving a pat on the back or a hug. And I remember my last couple of weeks at Hilland, Richard gives us positive affirmations we have to learn. And Doug, he was so funny. I tried so hard to help him with my brother. And yeah, he couldn't memorize it. It was always a joke. You know, it was absolutely hilarious trying to teach him. But the one he did always get was, I love and accept myself unconditionally. And I will always love and accept Doug unconditionally, and he'll truly be missed.
Okay, last call. Going once. Going twice. Attaboy. We're going to have another last call, so get ready.
Daniel, I had the pleasure of meeting Doug a few months ago, and had the opportunity to live with him. He was a gentle, kind soul. He was very encouraging. He was very generous, and he said to me and others so many words of encouragement. At first, I just didn't know how to take it. You know, he would pat you on the back and tell you that he loved you, and for no apparent reason. I remember some of the first days that he came into the house. I remember he seemed so lost, and I couldn't help but take a few minutes to talk to him and ask talking about Montreal and how he wanted to go back. That was his plan. I felt a connection with him right there in that first instance, actually talking with him. And ever since then, it was good conversations, lots of encouragement, lots of happy, positive words. And in the few days after his passing, we definitely felt that there was a big part of our house missing. And I think there always will be. Doug was an amazing person, and like Steve said, I didn't want to go home regretting speaking on that. I have a lot of memories that I'm going to hold on to for the rest of my life that include Douglas Miller, and I'm going to definitely cherish them. Thank you all for being here. Say that I'm grateful to be able to celebrate Douglas's life today. Thank you.
This is the real last call. Oh, look at this. Now we're gonna have to, now I got a lineup. This is awesome. My name's Christian. I only knew Doug for a few days. And I asked him, like, from the jump, he said, I wanted to get a good lay of, like, how the house was working. He was stormwater at the time. And he just sat down and had a real conversation with me. And if there's one thing I could tell about him leading up to his passing is what he was hurting. He explained to me about how he lost his mom and his brother this same day on Christmas, and I could tell, it was super profound to me, and I could tell he was in a lot of pain. The one thing I know about him for sure is he's not in pain anymore. Rest in peace, Dougie.
My name's Tyler, and Douglas, Dougie Fresh. He's just a great guy, and all around positive guy, like a father figure, right? And always had a fresh pair of kicks, and he always had something to say, and it was always, most of the time, it was really positive, right? And it's just going to be missed, and just the kind of guy that you can never forget. Just glad to get the chance to remember him for the great guy that he was, and I just want to say thank you to everyone for coming here.
Yeah. Okay, this could take a while.
Yeah, okay.
I just want to say that I didn't know Doug personally, but from listening to what everybody had to say about him, he's obviously, definitely someone I would have really liked to get to know. Why? Because without question, he's left footprints in people's lives here today. And for that, we've got to always be grateful and thankful.
Well, I feel bad that I finished off early. All right. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do a little bit of talking, and then if you feel that tap, 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 and you think there's a word still to be shared, I'll give you one more opportunity. I don't want to miss out on anybody. My 2 bits, I just kind of want to pile on what Vito just said, actually. That idea of leaving footprints, that was not the term I would have used, but that's good. That's a good word. Leaving footprints in our lives, fingerprints, like they've touched your life somehow, right? And I think the word, we're going to go from our words to God's word. I think the word that God has for us tonight is that we're all
kind of leaving fingerprints on each other's lives a little bit, just a little bit at least. Some more than others. I've got some relationships that are much more intimate than others, but we can't not be affected by each other. I think about, especially the guys in the house, man, you got 25 guys sharing a house, you're not going to have any choice but to affect each other, right? It's almost impossible not to. Tonight we are going to keep going in Matthew, and we're going to be in Matthew 10, but I've only taken a small part of Matthew 10, and I'm still wrestling with whether it was the right thing to do. We're going to go from the message. We're going to be in chapter 10, verses 29 to 31, and it's a different version, and honestly, I'm totally hung up on the use of the word canary. Typical text will talk about it being a sparrow, and for some reason a sparrow seems like a much more biblical bird than a canary. But bear with me, because I think that the point is important. So let's read this together. What's the price of a pet canary? Some loose change, right? And God cares what happens to it even more than you do. He pays even greater attention to you, down to the last detail, even numbering the hairs in your head. So don't be intimidated by all this bully talk. You're worth more than a million canaries. And let's be clear about something here. The context of this message is not necessarily what we're talking about here. I'm going to take this out of context a bit. This isn't a good example of preaching, to be quite frank. But this, for whatever reason, this found its way into our pattern of preaching here at SNL. And I think this message, that God cares about canaries, yeah, He cares about the sparrow, He cares about the crows, but how much more does He care about you? Even down to the most intimate detail, and like Kevin MacArthur doesn't have any hair in his head right now, but when it grows back, God will know every hair on his head, right? He knows us that intimately. Sorry, I couldn't resist, God. So I want to build off of this. I'm actually going to go back in Matthew to Matthew 6, and we're going to go from 27, I think, to the end of 6. So bear with me again. And it makes another reference to not canaries, but the birds and nature. Has anyone, by fussing in front of the mirror, ever gotten taller by so much as an inch? I can tell you that no. Sadly, no. All this time and money wasted on fashion. Do you think it makes that much difference? Instead of looking at the fashions, walk out into the fields and look at the wildflowers. They never print or shop. But have you ever seen color and design quite like it? The 10 best dressed men and women in the country look shabby alongside them. Let's keep going. If God gives such attention to the appearance of wildflowers, most of which are never even seen, don't you think He'll attend to you, take pride in you, do His best for you? What I'm trying to do here is get you to relax, to not be so preoccupied with getting, so you can respond to God's giving. People who don't know God and the way He works fuss over these things, but you know both God and how He works. Steep your life in God reality, God initiative, God provisions. Don't worry about missing out. You'll find all your everyday human concerns will be met. Is there one more, Josiah? That's the end. It says here, give your entire attention to what God is doing right now, and don't get worked up about what may or may not happen tomorrow. God will help you deal with whatever hard things come up when the time comes. Let me just kind of debrief this real quick. There's a couple of things that I see happening here. First of all, is this clear idea that God knows us and cares about us intimately. That He is not this old man in the sky in a rocking chair who doesn't give a rip about you, who kind of watches reruns on TV all day or whatever. Like, He cares about you. And you know what? It doesn't always feel that way. I love Jesus, but I don't always feel it. I don't walk around like a little cloud where my feet don't quite touch the ground because I just feel the love of God all the time. There are times where I don't necessarily feel that, but you know what? This is something that we can know to be true. that he loves us, that he values us, that he cares for us. And even right now, I think what you said, Mark, is a very real enemy that is probably whispering to some of you right now, yeah, right. Yeah, he doesn't care about you. Think about your story. Think about the things that you've had to go through. Nobody understands the battles you're fighting right now. That's the voice of the enemy. And he wants to isolate you. He doesn't want you to share your story. Chris, I like how you shared that you had that opportunity to hear from Doug, that he was having a tough time. And because sometimes, honestly, the enemy tries to pull us away from people when we're going through these difficult times and make us feel like nobody else is going to care about your story. Nobody wants to get that dumped on them. But I don't know how much more clearly I can say it, but God cares. And again, John, I empathize with what you said today. Sometimes it feels like God even gets it wrong. Or sometimes it feels like he doesn't care. That he didn't care enough to keep Douglas with us. But what we will find to be true, whether it be here on earth or on the other side of heaven, is we're going to find out the truth that God loved us every step of the way. There's that corny, actually, Footsteps. There's a poem. Many of you read it in your grandma's bathroom. I don't know how many mums and grandmas had it. Yeah, the footprints in the sand, that's right. That whole thing where a guy looks back and he sees that he was all alone in his hardest time. There's only one set of footprints. And God says to him, that's the time I carried you. And he cares about us. So that's the first thing I want to draw out from what we read. The second thing is we don't need to worry and care so much. And again, that's a hard thing to say because I don't know every story, every battle you're going through, everything you're fighting right now. I don't know how you're trying and failing to get back with your wife or your girlfriend or your husband or just get back with family or whatever. I don't know the whole story. I don't know the weight of what you're walking through. But I do know from my own personal experience that when I've worried about stuff, when I've kind of heaped all of the pressure on myself, it hasn't got me any farther forward. It hasn't helped me a bit. It's only dragged me down. And so it's, first of all, understanding that God cares for you, and then B, believing that he will care for you, that he will take care of the things that are needed to be taken care of. And then this third thing here is to where to put your eyes. One of the things we prayed at the beginning of the service is we're going to look back at the life of Douglas. But we're not meant to be looking back for the rest of our lives. We're meant to give our attention to what God is doing right now and not get worked up about what may or may not happen tomorrow. God's going to help you deal with whatever hard things come up when the time comes. I want to invite the worship team to come back up here again. And I think that the word I have for you during this song, this last song that we're going to sing together, is this is the time to take off that backpack of burden. Whatever thing you're trying to lug around and carry around under your own strength, now is the time to dump it. And my encouragement to you is lay it at the feet of Jesus and don't come back to it. Leave it with him. And you know what? Test him with this. Say, God, you know what? Maybe you've never done this before. Maybe you've never given a concern or a burden to God. And then tried to leave it there and walk away from it. You know what? I want to encourage you tonight. Test him with this. See what he does with that care and concern. Watch how he cares for you. But first, let's stand and worship, and let's wrap things up in prayer.
From
want to wrap things up a little bit here. I'm looking around the room, I see a lot of familiar faces. I think you've heard the invitation that we've given before. When we asked the question, are you ready to admit that you're a sinner, if you believe that Jesus died for that sin, and if you're ready to commit your life to following him, we put that up there before. And if you've never received that invitation in the past and you want to do so tonight, I'm actually going to go from here into the office, and I'm going to be happy to pray with you. Just before I forget, we've got Bibles. And the story behind the Bibles is a good one. I kind of want to wrap up with this. We've started to see people really get excited about you. And I'm not saying that the right way, but I look at a good example about, so Jaden, who's in Port Alberta, I guess, this weekend. And there was a couple from our 10 o'clock service that saw Jaden get baptized. They learned his name. They connected with him. They let him know that we're praying for you. And then the next week, they said, hey, Jaden, how are you doing? We're praying for you. And the next week, hey, Jaden, we're praying for you. And now he knows their names. And there's this connection between them where he knows he's been seen by them. He knows he's got people in his corner. He knows that now his fingerprints are on them and their fingerprints are on him. And there's this, and this is what love is supposed to look like. And so, I'm going to do something more. I've been dreaming it up kind of today, and I'm excited about it. And the people at 10 o'clock, you guys always get the scoop ahead of the 10 o'clock gang. But I'm going to kind of invite more people into relationships like that. And there are going to be people that are going to stand up. And I want to encourage you to be bold and make connections with people who are willing to adopt you like family and love on you and pray for you and get to know you. All right? And so they haven't heard about this yet. They'll be hearing it for the first time tomorrow morning. And I'm excited about it. But you guys be ready to pounce. You can choose your future adopted parents. So yeah, start scouting about me as they come in the morning. I don't know. All right. There is clothing that has been set aside. Again, take as much as you can carry, because if you don't, my poor wife has to carry it home again. It has to get sorted again. Drink more coffee, eat more donuts, and we'll see you tomorrow, or we'll see you next week. Be blessed.